Welcome back to Take Care. Today's episode is one I've been holding for a long time. Before I begin, I want you to know this conversation includes themes of child abuse, medical fragility, and trauma within the foster care system. Please listen at your own pace and please take care of yourself as needed. I'm joined today by Jamie Jenkins, a foster parent whose life work is caring for medically fragile children, the ones the system often quietly gives up on. Jamie and I met years ago when I was working in child welfare. A critically injured toddler was placed in her care with the expectation he would not survive. What unfolded instead changed the way I understand healing, love, and what it really means to take care. This is not a story about tragedy. This is a story about dignity, advocacy, and the kind of love that refuses to accept prognosis as destiny. Jamie, I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you for the way you've shown so many of us what's possible.
I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. So can you start by telling us what first called you to foster care and how you found your way to caring for medically fragile children?
Sure. So when I was younger, around 20 years old, I worked at a medical daycare center, and I fell in love with the medically fragile kids. The population just completely changed me. I had actually been working there for a week, and I went home over the weekend and came back the following Monday, and my boss asked me how the weekend was. I said, well, my car broke down and this is wrong and that's wrong. And she said, oh, well, I just want to let you know that this little girl that we cared for had passed away. She was 2. And that was my moment that changed me and made me realize what was important in life. So I actually had a picture of her on my dashboard for 6 years until it faded away. But that kind of motivated me to go to nursing school and become a nurse. And then once I did that, I was doing home health because that's pretty much the only other job opportunity to only work with medically fragile kids. And then I learned about medical foster care and I was ready to welcome another child into my home. And the stars aligned and I was lucky enough to make it all work and become a foster parent for medically fragile kids.
Beautiful. What do you think people misunderstand about these kids?
Their value. I feel like the majority of the population doesn't understand their value. It's something that we work on to basically prove every day, as crazy as that sounds, that my kids should be as valued and are as worthy as any other child.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when this child that you and I shared working with together on this case, when he first came to you, what did you first notice?
It's going to sound crazy, but the sparkle in his eye. Mm-hmm. When I first met him at the hospital, he had a cast on his arm and a feeding tube in his nose, but he was there. Yeah. And I feel like it's such a privilege when you meet these kids for the first time to offer them just genuine, simple love.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he was pretty disabled at that point.
Yes, he was. He had lost his vision. He was unable to talk anymore. He couldn't walk. Pretty much required full care for everything, and then also couldn't eat. Yeah. And he had been a typical 2-year-old boy.
Yeah. And the sparkle in his eye was the first thing you noticed. Yeah.
Yes.
How did you connect with him? I think that's part of what really drew me in was how well you were able to connect with him and bring out this vibrant soul.
Well, I think really if you just, going back to seeing the sparkle in his eye first, right? Like I didn't see his disability first. He's a child, right? Yes. And a child with a disability or without a disability. They want love, they want nurturing, they want to be seen as a child first. And then we worry about the medical needs. So I brought him in and loved on him like I would any kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, I mean, that takes me to some of the stories that I'm fond of in this is, coming over to visit him in your home and you getting so excited to show me like, look, what he's doing now. And you would tip the wheelchair back and count to 3. He'd get excited in anticipation, giggling, and you'd run. And it was just amazing to see because he was considered like completely disabled. That they're,
Yes.
yeah. So this ability to see that sparkle in there, to meet that need of seeing him as a whole person, just really brought this out. That was very endearing to see.
I love that.
Yeah. You also were really impressionable with me. I mean, maybe that's not the right word. You impressioned me. You made a difference in how you presented these kids. They were always neatly dressed to the T. And that spoke to how much the dignity that you had for them. Why do you think that presentation matters so much?
Well, it kind of goes back to having them be accepted and seen and valued. I think it's really important that they have a shower every single day. They have fresh haircuts, and they're dressed to the nines. We're kind of a shoe fanatic family. So, of course, they have to have the freshest kicks. But the reasoning started was because, like, when we go out, I feel like people just look, right, but don't really say anything. And it's kind of been an opportunity for a conversation starter. So oftentimes he'll be out in his chair and we're in the community and somebody walks up and, oh man, fresh kicks, what's your name? And it literally starts a conversation because there's something that the regular population can, I guess, relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
It
right?
makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably in how they feel as well.
Yeah, how do you feel when you go out?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we all go out in our jammies sometimes, or maybe not, but I do. And you do feel different than when you're cleaned up and your hair's done and you're dressed really nice. You build this confidence in yourself and you feel, I don't know, more outgoing and accepted.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That kind of brings me back to as well a phone call you and I had. You called me very frustrated at one point, really worried about some kids that you were aware of that were also medically fragile, but their basic needs were the only things being tended to. And I remember that sitting with me for days, imagining just being stuck, staring at a ceiling all day. And makes me think of how hard you fought for your children to have a normal school experience. Going back to that first meeting at the school district. So tell me about fighting for him to go to school.
We still fight.
Really? Okay.
We still fight. I feel like the tides have kind of turned and now they're wanting us there, but then there's a new fight, right? Like, can our private duty nurses come? Can they not come? I feel like no matter what direction you go in, there's a fight for some reason. Like, we're just constantly advocating. But I think the bottom line is when it's possible, they should be in school. They should have friendships. They should get invited to birthday parties. They should be kids.
Yes.
And I think that one thing that's really missed that you're kind of referring to in the past is still happening. When you don't understand the medically fragile child, you think that just because their medical needs are being met, right, and they're going to the doctor's appointments and they're staying healthy, that we're good to go. But they need to live. They need to be, we're not just surviving, right? Our goal isn't just for survival. I don't think your goal is survival. That's not just my goal. I want to live.
Yes.
Right? They want to live. They deserve to live. And I actually think during COVID made me even more aware because think about all of us being locked in our houses and what it was doing to people's mental health. And that's happening to a lot of these medically fragile kids. It's like, well, we meet their needs, but you're not meeting their needs. They need to be out of the house, living, doing things that regular kids do. Is it a lot of work? Yes. But especially if you sign up to do this through the foster care system, that should be a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of speaks to my next question was going to be why was inclusion a non-negotiable for you? And I feel like you kind of answered it. Anything additional you would add to that?
Well, what are you living for? Right? What are we all living for? To enjoy life. Friendships. How would you feel if you had zero friends?
Yeah.
How would you feel if you never felt fresh air on your face? If you never got to go swimming? If you never got to experience life? How would you feel? It would be pretty boring. And then what's the point?
Yeah.
So inclusion is everything. These kids literally deserve to be out doing everything every other kid is doing. And yes, it's a lot of work. And yes, we need support, which is a whole nother form of advocacy, trying to get the supports in the home and them paid well enough. It's a whole big thing. But when we have signed up to do this and brought this on, if we can't support that, we shouldn't be taking these kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember going to that meeting with you where you advocated really hard for him to be included in the school environment. And then tell us about what happened when he was included.
Oh my gosh. He's giddy. He's still giddy when he goes to school. You can just sense excitement. He is laughing and moving all over in his chair and just so excited as soon as you enter the building. He made friends. He got invited to birthday parties. He, I don't know, would get super excited when the bus came. He gets it, right? He gets to go to school and be a kid.
Yes, and the other kids too. I remember you
And the
telling me
other
they
kids
would,
too.
yeah, they would like fight over who got to push his chair. And so they loved him, embraced him, and welcomed him with open arms. Such a good experience for other children as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we create better humans, right? When we teach empathy and acceptance at a younger age, especially nowadays, we really need those experiences when we're younger so that hopefully they carry on through our lives and remember how important everybody is. And just because somebody's different than you doesn't mean they shouldn't be accepted.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I want to talk a little bit now about the court experience. In my experience, it wasn't very common that a foster parent would attend court hearings. Not only did you attend, but you brought him. And I feel like that the energy in the courtroom was changed forever from your attending those hearings. And we had a pretty tough magistrate at the time. And I can remember her. Yes. I remember the visit that you had, which would sometimes be like all day visits at Children's Hospital for him because he had so many specialists. And when he was getting frustrated, he was a pretty patient little boy, if I remember this right. And when he started to finally get a little frustrated with it, you taught me that his favorite song was Wheels on the Bus. So we put that in the court report, and that tough magistrate had everyone in that courtroom singing the Wheels on the Bus for him.
They sure did.
Tell me, we did. It was quite an experience. It's a cherished memory for me because I remember looking around. I don't think there was a dry eye in that courtroom. No. But what compelled you to bring him to court?
I think people need to see. You can see things on paper, you can read it, and it's like, oh, this is so sad, and it is sad, right? There's a component of it that's very sad. But we can live in sadness, or we can meet this little boy and see the joy that he brings, the value that he brings, and recognize again that he's just a kid. And here's this little human, right, that has lost pretty much all of his abilities, and he's happy. He's the happiest kid. Because every day he feels joy, every day he feels love. It's, I guess, reteaching us that all of us really want the basic things, right? Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be accepted. And then you see him and it's just, I don't know, the epitome of that. It's like all you need is love, acceptance, wheels on the bus, and you're happy. It's basic.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
It does.
Yes. You've talked a lot about, and this, the other thing I want to showcase here too is I think something else that stood out for me as someone working with you was just you would set the bar pretty high for your caregivers. If somebody had a lot going on, you were like, you know what, I need someone who can be here present with these kids. So you definitely set a high standard of care for the kids. And I think that also was evident in how you saw their needs, which is what prompted me to make sure that you had an opportunity to come speak at some of our caregiver support groups. And I remember going to those and you sharing a story about one of the children in your care and how her only tools were to relieve herself and bite the carpet in her room, and how so many people can get, it's so easy to get caught up in the reactivity of, now I have another mess to clean up or this or that, and we can get frustrated in those moments. But you had just such a different way of looking at it, as you've got to just have compassion when someone's only recourse is to do these things, right? So anything else you would say about that? Because I felt like that was a powerful message to remember.
I think kind of, obviously it's a couple years later because our little guy's now 15.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. But 6-7 years ago, we lost a little girl. And I think what has reiterated those feelings that you're talking about, like patience and kindness and understanding. And yes, did I get frustrated? Absolutely. I'm a human being. But being able to kind of separate yourself and remembering that it's not necessarily just about you, right? But what would it be like to be this little human and you're all that they have, right? They're depending on you to learn how to regulate. They're depending on you for patience and love. And when you bring a child into your home as a foster placement, that's a commitment. Right? Like, you've committed. I'm going to love on you and I'm going to provide for you and I'm going to protect you just as I would if I birthed you. And if you can't do that, again, we shouldn't be signing up for foster care. But going back to the little girl, we had her for 10 and a half years, adopted her. Amazing, amazing little girl. And she passed away. And I think the one thing that was a driving force was that I know that I gave her the best quality of life possible. Right? I was like, it's devastating. Losing a kid is the worst thing anybody could ever experience. But she lived. She had a little boyfriend who actually was a typical kiddo on the football team, and he was one of her pallbearers. But they went on dates. She loved looking at the teenagers' butts in the football field. And like, she had joy, right? So then I think, had she not lived, had we not had the opportunity to give her a life to live, how would you ever recover from that? Like, she laid in a bed or stayed in a house and then she died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those memories save you. And that's, I don't know, it just kind of goes back to the same as us. We want to have memories. We want to have all the things that life can give us and that we can experience. And it's no different for a medically fragile kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Just curious for people that may be in that situation of caregiving for medically fragile kids or thinking about becoming a medically fragile caregiver. What resources do you think are available to help provide support for people in those situations?
There are a lot of resources, but it's very hard to access. Okay. Even with connections, even with, knowing people for a really long time. So I would say if you're going to sign up for medical foster care, you would probably want to research all of those things before you bring a kid into your home. Know what kind of child or what disabilities you're okay working with. And know that pretty much that child is going to become your life. And it's amazing, right? But it's exhausting. And you have to make a lot of sacrifices and be willing to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings me to a really important question. As a caregiver, how do you care for yourself?
I eat Texas State Brazil.
Oh, good.
And I go for walks. But as crazy as it's going to sound, I love this so incredibly much that even when I have an opportunity to go do things, like, I really just want to be with my kids. So it fills my bucket when we can take everybody out on a field trip, maybe go to the selfie museum and take funny pictures, or just get to experience them experiencing life. I know our little guy has his park that he uses Make-A-Wish for. Yes, his inclusive park.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, yes, his Make-A-Wish was to build an inclusive park so that he could play with his friends, because we saw through school and other interactions how important friendships were and being included was. So his make-a-wish was for a park. He built the park. So we do go there often. And it's just fun to be around other kids and see them get to do things. When we see other kids with special needs utilizing the equipment there, it's pretty heartwarming.
Yeah, yeah. It's impressive because it's wheelchair friendly. There's power sources there, right, for wheelchairs. Yep. There's changing ability for older children. Is that right?
Yes. Like, and a zip line.
A zip line.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
Are you comfortable sharing where the park is located in case people might want to try visiting?
Sure. It's Red-tailed Hawk Park, and it's in Southeast Aurora, basically off of Arapahoe Road and between Smoky Hill and Gartrell.
Okay.
Check it out. It's a happy place.
It is. It is. It's got music components, right? Like there's something for everyone there to help them.
And hopefully we're going to be expanding.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Cross your fingers. Yes.
Got them crossed. Yes. So, I know you've kind of touched on some of this, Jamie, but I'm curious if there's anything else you'd include about what these children have helped teach you about humanity.
Man, they're just the greatest kids. To be able to start your morning with children, right, that are unable to walk, again, unable to talk, unable to eat, physically unable to do anything for themselves, but their faces light up, they're laughing as soon as they hear you starting the morning routine. Who else gets to do that? Like, they're so happy every day. And some of it is, putting on a silly hat, and that's the funniest thing in the whole world, or turning the lights off and on. But remembering that the simplest things in life are so important. And I feel like they've taught me to slow down, right? Like, we sometimes forget to, I don't know, when you're driving, to be able to look up and appreciate the mountains, or fresh air, stepping outside and taking a breath of fresh air. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah. So
they've helped me slow down and really, really appreciate all of the little things in life.
Wow. Yeah.
It's so fun.
It's amazing. Yeah. And, just appreciating the other side of that too, how powerful it is to feel loved and seen by someone. They say that we usually only fulfill 10% of our potential, right? And then here's a child who's so severely injured that the prognosis is death.
It is.
But to have someone who sees you and loves you so completely, to be laughing and playing and a teenager and having friends and fun and living life, like, amazing.
And using a communication device to talk crap about his mom. Because he does that. We were literally in the mall, okay? We were in the mall. He was using his communication device, and he said, "Mama, you have a big butt." I'm not kidding. So he's a teenager.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But that's the other thing, amazing, right? Like, who would have ever thought he could communicate? And he does. Yeah. And he's very efficient. Yeah. And he's very funny. And he will get his needs across. So it's pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's so heartwarming. Yeah.
Yeah, he's naughty.
Yes. I think that really, again, just goes to show, what is available when we can see the child and the ability, not just the disability. That comes second. That's what I heard you say.
Yes. I mean, they're a human being, right? Yeah. Like, we've borne witness to being out somewhere, and one of my kids that can see, people just walking past him but talking to other people, and how that must make somebody feel. Yeah. Right? So, again, that's why it's important to be dressed to the nines and, like, hopefully give the community a reason to come interact with us and talk to us. But just to think about it when you're out in the world, like, how nice is it when somebody looks up at you and smiles? Doesn't it kind of make you feel good? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same thing for them. They're people first, kids first.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that you would want some of these systems to understand better? Other than that, I mean, that's a powerful one, right? But
Right.
if you had the opportunity, and let's say all of these systems that are involved, the court system, the child welfare system, anything that you would want them to understand better?
I think first and foremost, kind of what we discussed earlier, just to be able to step back and remember to look at these children as a whole. They're not just medical needs. And yes, they're important. And I know it's hard to find placements. And I know everybody's busy. But you have to think, what if that was you? Right? You're tired. You're overworked. You're likely underpaid. But this is a human being. And the other thing is that I haven't really touched on, but the likelihood of their lifespan being shorter is very high. So that makes every day even more important, right? We can't wait 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. That could be a large portion of their life. So right now matters. And please walk in and remember, this is a human being. This is a person that needs everything every other child needs, plus the medical needs, right? It's a child with complex medical needs, not just complex medical needs.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So fight for them. Demand that placements that they're in have to take them out. Like they can't just be in a bedroom, because if this was a typical child, CPS would be getting called, right? You can't just leave a kid in a bedroom, right? They have to get out of the house. They have to do things. Well, it's the same for kids with complex medical needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jamie, anything, you would want our listeners to carry with them from this conversation?
Ooh, that's a tough one, Danielle. I guess just to remember to slow down. Slow down, appreciate what you have in life, and even thinking about, oh, I want an ice cream cone. You can get up and go get an ice cream cone. You can do whatever you want. So stressing the little things like traffic or, I don't know, a flat tire, whatever you have, be able to step back and put that in perspective and know that your abilities to do things and enjoy life are really what are important. And then when you remember that, the next time you see somebody with a disability or a child with complex medical needs, remember that they need that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Great reminder. Yeah, I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Jamie. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you, Danielle. I miss you.
I miss you too. We'll have to plan a time to get together. And just curious, if you're open to anyone being able to reach out if they have further questions or needing support navigating any of this stuff, is that something you're open to? And so,
Absolutely. And if there's caseworkers or anybody that want to come over, like, we have an
right.
open door policy if it's going to help, I don't know, improve the life of other kids or just for a better understanding, right? Because it's a lot to learn and know aside from already having to do the caseworker side of things. So yes, we're open.
Awesome. What a great offering. Thank you, Jamie. I will include your contact information in the show notes for anybody who's interested. And I want to thank everyone for being here with us, reminding you all to take care. Please like, subscribe, share this episode with people you think might benefit from this conversation. And again, take care.